Cancer is the name given to a collection of related diseases. In all types of cancer, some of the body's cells begin to divide without stopping and spread into surrounding tissues. Cancer can start almost anywhere in the human body, which is made up of trillions of cells. Normally, human cells grow and divide to form new cells as the body needs them. When cells grow old or become damaged, they die and new cells take their place. When cancer develops, however, this orderly process breaks down. As cells become more and more abnormal, old and damaged cells survive when they should die, and new cells form when they are not needed. These extra cells can divide without stopping and may form growths called tumors. Many cancers form solid tumors, which are masses of tissue. Cancers of the blood, such as leukemias, generally do not form solid tumors. In addition, cancer cells are able to ignore signals that normally tell cells to stop dividing, or that begin a process known as programmed cell death or apoptosis, which the body uses to get rid of unneeded cells. According to available statistics, cancer is persistently spreading across the entire global village and sadly claiming human lives on a daily basis. Nigeria, with an ever-swelling population, is not spared. Cancer cases are obviously on the increase. Again, one can count in seconds the total number of both the diagnostic and treatment centers that are currently available nationwide. However, with increased healthcare costs, many simply cannot afford the cost of screening tests. These are at a significantly higher risk of dying from cancer if later diagnosed. Therefore, there's urgent need for everybody to act accordingly by providing help and inspiring hope to those affected by cancer through early detection, education, and support services. Today, in Nigeria, a group of core philanthropists have decided to come together to partner with everyone as a sponsor in putting funds together for a common goal of providing these undeserved the needed accessibility to both the equipment and personnel meaningfully at the early continuity stage of the unfortunate encounter. The group says that their first solution in stepping up the fight against the dreadful cancer in Nigeria is to earnestly position, multiply, and functioning specialized mobile cancer centers nationwide. This is an initiative that makes a stabilizing force in the lives of hundreds of thousands of the patients who have reached a crossroad in their lives and urgently need a helping hand to get across the bridge.
You're welcome to yet another edition of your program Towards a Greater Nigeria. I still remain your anchor, Omotayo Omotosho. There's a saying that says, health is wealth. The world over, the issue of cancer, people call it cankerworm. A lot of our people are dying day by day, resulting to cancer. How can we curb this? How can we detect early the cancer that could be milling around a human being's body without the human being knowing? And after a few months or 1 year or 1.5, you get to ask of the person, they tell you he or she died of cancer. All these issues we'll be talking tonight, and I have with me two gentlemen that will do justice to this program. We have a medical practitioner in the house and a consultant in person of Dr. Emmanuel Aborisade. Dr. Aborisade, you're welcome.
Thank you for having me, ma'am.
You're welcome. And then we have a social commentator who represents the voice of the people, having lost 1 or 2 people due to cancer, in person of Mr. Debo Adefolaju. You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
My very first question, Doctor, the issue of cancer, people call it cankerworm. And I know that lots of Nigerians travel abroad for medical attention, wanting to detect if they do have, wanting to go for a test, and those that have been found to have, wanting to go for medication. What is the scenario here? Why can't we get it done in Nigeria?
Thank you very much. As the case might be, cancer, because of the peculiarity and the complexity of cancer, early detection and definitive diagnosis seems to be a problem here in Nigeria. And it is not as if we cannot diagnose it here, but the time which the patient presents is rather too late. So that prompts many people to probably travel abroad. And again, because we don't have so many facilities in our health centers, it makes the early diagnosis also to be late. So those were the reasons why people have to go there. Some even go for routine checkup, and eventually it will be found, it will be detected that they have cancer. So, and also our attitude too, because if you are not used to routine checkup, the early diagnosis might be a bit difficult. So those were the reasons why you see that it's only when people travel abroad
for vacation,
that's when it's being diagnosed. And of course, since it's being diagnosed there, they eventually have their treatments there.
Thank you, Doctor. Let me go to Mr. Adefolaju. I have good news for you and for Nigerians, because I know that there are some philanthropists that are coming together now and ready to pull resources together to be able to fund the combat, because it's actually a combat, it's a war, to be able to fund the fight against cancer. And the way they still want to do it is also to ensure how they can raise funds with other friends, multinationals, corporate bodies, to join hands with them, that they don't want to leave it for the government alone. And when this raises funds, they're talking of buying mobile diagnostic trucks, so that possibly almost every state, in actual fact, their target is every state would have minimum 7 to 10 of those trucks in different localities.
In discussing with the able doctor, the issue will not just be in diagnosis. There is a cost that ordinary folks will not be able to undertake, and that's in the pharmacotherapeutic end, the drugs. Ordinary folks are not going to be able to afford those drugs. So in our penchant to tackle this particular problem, we need to include not just the trucks, we also need to include drug distribution for those who have been discovered to be at this stage or that stage of the disease process. That same truck, this is in conjunction with what I had earlier discussed with the doctor, should be able to do simple lumpectomy tests. And I'm quoting from the doctor now, the trucks will be like a collection center for samples for
like
the a mobile pathology
center.
When you
mobile cancer center.
It's going to be a mobile cancer center.
Okay.
What the truck is going to do, what the truck should be made of. The truck should have a mini consultation
unit,
counseling unit, and investigative unit, whereby you could take specimen. The specimen from there's going to be a central laboratory whereby it will be sent to a pathologist for them to go through this, for them to examine the specimen and read whatever result it's going to be. That's one. After the result comes, because that's why the counseling unit is so important, because the counseling unit also will be the one to maybe to do a good follow-up for patients to come back for their results And if there's need be for them to be referred to a tertiary center, because will be administered the will, because when we talk of treatment of cancer, treatment of cancers are
different.
We have surgery, we have medication, we have radiotherapy. You understand?
A lot of chemo, I hear.
That's where chemotherapy, that's where medication comes in.
Okay.
You understand? And you also have psychotherapy.
Okay.
Of course, there are some cancers that, it is just, you're talking of just survival rate, years of survival. Definitely there's no definitive treatment for this. So the patient needs a psychotherapist to be able to counsel, know that you're going to live with this, and also to help them in a new way of life. So that they can cope with the disease.
Thank you very much, Doctor. I recall, Mr. Adefolaju, you were telling me that there was a program you were watching some time ago, a few days ago really, and they were talking about the state of our medical centers and the fact that we don't even have enough equipment to be able to detect. Can you tell us what you found?
The program I was watching last night was telling the nation about the dire state of oncology in Nigeria. Diagnostically, according to those oncology doctors, we don't have presently in Nigeria anything close to what we need to have, which is diagnostic centers in 774 local governments. We don't have diagnostic centers in 36 states. We don't have treatment centers that are functioning. We have equipment, I'm told, in 6 geopolitical zones of Nigeria, and about only 2 are functioning. Whilst they said that, they also mentioned only 1 is truly operational. So I don't know what the difference is between operational and functioning.
Doctor, what's your take on the fact that he says in the 36 states of Nigeria, we don't have diagnostic centers? Would you agree with that?
Yes, I agree. I agree with that.
Okay.
By virtue of my own field, we have, gynecological malignancies. I've had cases whereby patients will leave the University College Hospital because the radiotherapy unit there is not functioning, had to come to the National Hospital for treatment. And having known what cancer is an uncontrollable growth of abnormal cells in a part of the body.
Uncontrollable growth.
Uncontrollable growth
of abnormal
cells in a part of the body.
Okay.
The availability of these equipment for diagnosis and for treatment boils down to the pathophysiology of cancer itself, because there has to be one prompt action, prompt treatment, that's accessibility to the treatment, and also continuity. The treatment of cancer is not a kind of treatment whereby you start today, you stop for one reason or the other, and you continue tomorrow. You will not be able to put it on the check. So that's one of the reasons that makes the developed country, advanced country, to have a better outcome than us here in Nigeria. There are basic things that are affecting this. 1, we don't have enough personnel. 2, we don't have enough equipment to work with. And these 2 things have been the major reason why cancer is a very difficult thing to diagnose here in our country, and also to have an effective treatment. So those are the factors that have that's really affecting us in Nigeria. So in
Have you had any experience of a patient leaving a particular location to pursue payment or follow-up, not payment, follow-up
yes,
treatment?
I've had several.
Okay.
I had one, a friend, mom, who used to even be a matron in the University College Hospital Ibadan.
In the health sector?
In the health sector, retired, was diagnosed to have cancer of the cervix. And of course, we know cancer is in stages. Unfortunately enough, the time it was diagnosed, it was just at stage 3B.
Wow.
Stage 3B, by the time the treatment, at that time, she's going to benefit very well from radiotherapy. But the equipment, as at that time, I'm talking of 2 years ago, 2013, the equipment was down in UCH. She has to come to Abuja.
From Ibadan?
From Ibadan.
That's about 10 hours
yes.
journey by road.
So she has to come and be assessing the treatment here in Abuja, whereby she has to also join the queue that were already lined up. So those are the little challenged.
But I hope she's still alive today.
No, I think
we lost her.
She passed on last year. Oh. I had one of recent too, though, coming from the rural area. A doctor was already offering them surgery. It's also cancer of the cervix. They went to the National Hospital. Of course, even if at all everything is still, it has been diagnosed anywhere, you still want to carry out
further studies,
some investigation. We call it biopsy.
Okay, for that test.
Yes.
The layman language.
By the time they were booking her for biopsy, this is someone that is in perpetual pain. She cannot sleep. Has uncontrollable urination. She urinates micturition. She urinates on her body, constantly on pampers.
An adult?
An adult. A woman of 56 years old.
Pitiable.
This is a very recent one. 56 years old. She died 3 weeks ago.
Unfortunately.
Unfortunately. Just to be able to do a biopsy, they were giving her appointment of about 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. So if it takes that long to be able to do diagnosis, which we know that clinically you have diagnosed, but of course you need to do the laboratory one to be able to stage, to know the extent of the cancer. If it's taking 6 weeks, when will this person commence treatment?
Exactly.
I think the second day she was admitted for biopsy, she passed on the following day.
I'll come back to you in a few minutes. We'll take a short break now. For those of you that are just joining us, we're looking at the issue called cancer. A cankerworm, no doubt about it. And lots of our people are dying of cancer. It is very, very pertinent for everyone to be concerned. And that's why we're talking about it tonight. We'll be back with you in a few seconds. Don't go away. You're welcome back. And for those of you that are just joining us, we're looking at the cankerworm that we call cancer. It's become quite worrisome, and it's not just a matter of worry. We must do something to combat this, and that's why it's a big issue today. A lot of our people are dying of cancer, and we're saying no, we must put a stop to it. I have with me Dr. Emmanuel Aborisade, for those of you just joining us, and Mr. Debo Adefolaju. Well, Mr. Adefolaju, having lived many years in the UK, in the US, and then back to Nigeria, could you share with us the Michael Milken story? Because I know that he was diagnosed of cancer some time ago, but today he's still alive and well.
25 years ago, when Michael Milken came out of jail, was a young-born king. He was a young, dynamic, brash, highly successful bond trader. His wife advised him to seek medical help because he was having difficulty with urinating. The doctors that he consulted with felt that he was too young to need such consultation. 46 years old, young, dynamic, highly successful.
And he said that was 25 years ago.
25 years ago. He requested for this diagnostic test called PSA. When the test was done and the result came in, 4 was supposed to be high. His own result came in at 24.
The PSA you mentioned.
The PSA results came in at 24. He was advised to start putting his house in order. And 12 to 18 months was what he had to live. That's how long he will be living. But
as diagnosed from the report, medical report,
at that time.
Yeah.
But he transformed not only himself, he transformed the way, the culture of medical research and medical oncology health delivery. He put his money where his mouth was. He put his friends' money where their mouth was. He collaborated with researchers and fast-tracked bringing medicines that were said to be effective in treating his prostate cancer faster to the market. He's a practicing Jew, so when we look at our religiosity and we look at our spirituality, they're not one and the same. He began to practice yoga. He changed his diet from a kosher Jewish diet to being a vegetarian. Right now, he battled it. He battled it frontally. He put all of what he had into it and all of what his friends could bring to the fore into it. Now, not only has he had remission of his own cancer, other people have benefited from his dynamism. Many people that would have died are still living very well, and their cancer too is in remission. My own plea to my compatriots is that those dynamic businessmen that have made gazillion money, please find it in your heart to touch somebody else positively. Put your money where your mouth is. Be your brother's keeper. Fund research. Fund the drugs that they will need. Fund things that will bring succor. Fund education of boys and girls. Fund the training of these technicians that will operate the equipment that we need to keep people alive and well. That's all I got to say about that.
I'm happy that you said some philanthropists have come together. They are going to be the champion of this advocacy. When the advocacy will lead to awareness, it will lead to early diagnosis. It will also burden to treatment. And in the course of this, when the mobile
cancer
centers are being planned to be in place, that's after the advocacy has been done very well. If the cardinal point in treatment of cancer are being factored into it, one, provision of drugs.
Very key.
That's the chemotherapy. Provision of drugs, because the drugs, you discover that most of the drugs, because we have different generations, they are very expensive for people to procure. So providing this drug free after diagnosis has been made is going to help a lot. So the mobile cancer center should have drugs, different classes of anti-cancer drugs available. 2, for the surgery, they can actually identify people that will benefit well from surgery and send them to the tertiary institution or referral centers whereby the surgery will take place, and they will also probably subsidize the money or take care of the bill. 3, the radiotherapy, in which we know that in Nigeria today, as big as Nigeria is, we don't have more than 6 functioning radiotherapy units in the whole country.
Not more than 6.
Not more than 6, because they are being is in the geopolitical zones, and we have 6 geopolitical zones.
Well, viewers, this is where we call it a day on this week's edition of Towards a Greater Nigeria. Next week promises to be a very exciting one, of course, informative as well. And we've been talking about the issue of cancer. In actual fact, we call it a disease called cancer. What do we need to do? How do we join hands together? How do we become our brother's keeper in ensuring that we don't leave it for the government to do alone? Because it costs a lot of money to even incur one MCC, that is the Mobile Cancer Center. You'll get to see and know more about this topic next week, because time is not on our side. And if you want to follow us, you can follow us on YouTube. And of course, our website is www.towardsagreaternigeria.org. And for those of you that tweet, TAG_Nigeria. I'll be with you next week. Thank you very much. God bless you. Good evening.